Pulp MX Network production.
Bringing you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly. It's the LVK More Than Moto podcast with your hosts, Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Welcome back, everybody, to another Leatt LVK More Than Moto podcast. I'm Kellen Brauer, joined once again by Phillips. Loretta's week is done. A whole week of racing down at the Loretta Lynn's ranch is behind us. MXGP went to the deep sands of Lommel this past weekend, and there's obviously some fun stuff to talk about there. Split motos between Lucas Coonan and Roman Fevre. Coonan gains a little bit because he won the quali race, but I'm sure Lou will have some insights about what he saw in the deep sands. But yes, Big Lou, how was your week? Did you watch much Loretta's? Did you watch all of Lommel?
I watched all of Lommel. I loved Lommel. Arguably the most enjoyable motocross viewing experience of the year for me. Lommel's just great, isn't it? I had Loretta's on intermittently, but I was a very passive viewer. I didn't know what was going on at what time, so I just randomly put it on and caught random races of random classes, and I didn't really know what I was watching. But that's all I really need from Loretta's, because to be honest with you, I'm not sure that I really care a great deal.
When you watch these like random classes that happen at Loretta's, what are you thinking? Like, are you thinking like, why is this a class? Should we really be racing a week long? Or are you like, no, this makes sense. I understand why this class fits into the mold.
No, I told you on previous episode of LVK, I don't understand any of the classes. The entire structure of the event confuses me. I don't know why you don't just have 50 class, 65 class, 85 super mini class, whatever you call it in this country, 125 class, 250 class, and then sure 450 class if you want. I don't understand why the vets are there. I don't understand why, as I said previously, we have all of these different names for classes, like the 350 electric mod class. Like, it's very specific.
Not a real class for those listening.
Well, it might as well be. We're pretty much there. Yeah, I don't understand. The 50cc turbocharged cooking oil class, like I don't understand what the game is there. Just do 50, 65, 85, 125, 250. Bosh.
All right, noted. Well, aside from Loretta's, this is your, along with every other rider, your only downtime of the year from going to races, aside from when you almost died. But how was your 2-week break? Like, were you okay? Were you itching to go to the race on the second weekend?
I am so glad that the calendar randomly fell where on both weekends there was MXGP.
Okay, yeah.
That was a real stroke of luck. I was meant to go to Lommel, heartbroken that I wasn't at Lommel. Many people heartbroken that I wasn't there as well, I'm sure. Some people's hearts were full that I wasn't there. But, yeah, so I would have loved to go to Lommel. I was sad about that. I'm not especially buoyant to go to Ironman, though. I mean, championships are kind of done. It's Ironman, kind of know it. It's kind of... Ironman, to me, is just a very nondescript national. Like insert stereotypical track here, and that's kind of Ironman. So I don't know. I'm not like on the edge of my seat to go to Ironman, but I am excited to get back to work. And you know, I've got a lot to prove now, Kellen. Got a target on my back. It's time to get back into the battleground.
I'm not going to Ironman, so I would love to hear your thoughts on this next week when we're in together on Pulp. But you obviously went when they changed the track a whole bunch last year. And so you saw the difference in what the track was like before and all that stuff like that. But could you maybe do a little bit of like reconnaissance this weekend of how they're going to set up for the nations? Because like even the pits themselves, like I think will need to be extended a little bit more for nations. And then I saw like where they're putting some campgrounds and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. Like I'm interested to see how they're going to fit all that in there and stuff, because it does get rather crowded there, but Nations is going to be a whole different level of crowded, and I want to see how it kind of works out.
Yeah, I was extremely alarmed last year when I realised where I was parked on race day and thought to myself, this isn't going to work for Lou on MXON day for sure.
Lot
so
I hope, Isn't it like parking B or whatever? They'll just have it set up for you?
At the National, it was a sheer marathon away. I'd parked in Indianapolis. So I'm hoping to see a better parking situation this weekend in anticipation of the Nations. I've already thought about pit lane because that'll be where I set up camp for the weekend quite happily. So I hope that's up to par. No. Yeah, and to be honest with you, I think I'm a little bit meh about going to Ironman this weekend because I'm very aware of the fact that I'm going to Ironman less than 2 months before I'm also going to Ironman. I'd rather hit Ironman for the first time all year at the Nations, so it's a little more of a spectacle.
Yeah, this isn't a topic, but I heard that there was a potential WW Ranch was going to be on the schedule this year as a replacement for Ironman because obviously the FIM regulations normally don't allow you to have a national and or MXGP championship run on the same racetrack that will then be used for Nations. Are you surprised that like the AMA guys get such a close chance to run this racetrack to the Nations?
Surprised and disappointed.
Okay.
Because when I realised that Ironman was going to be on the Pro Motocross calendar, I presumed that we would go Fox, Hangtown, Thunder Valley, Ironman, just to get it in as early as possible. I'm very surprised it's managed to weasel its way in this late in the calendar. I mean, in reality, it's only 2 weeks earlier than normal. It's not that big a deal. Like, you may as well have just run it in its normal date. But, hey, I would have loved a bit of a change-up. WW would have been great. But that's not the situation we find ourselves in. And so let's go racing.
Let's go racing. Big Lou back to the races this week. He's very chuffed to bits about it. All right, let's get into our topics today. Of course, it's all brought to you by Leatt, Racetech, Namura, and Partzilla. We're going to tell you guys all about them throughout the show. So please back the people that back us and make it possible for us to come on every week and talk about the world of moto. And my first topic of the day, Lewis, I know you didn't watch a lot of Loretta's, but there is one topic from Loretta's I really want to kind of hit on that pertains to pros now because it's kind of interesting. We talked about this dynamic, I think, even at the beginning of last week with the SMX Next crossover and Loretta's and how it fits into the mold a little bit. But Enzo Temmerman dominated at Loretta's. He won the Horizon Award. He won 5 out of 6 motos. The one moto he didn't win was called Early for Lightning. So, do what you will. He got second in that one. Was he going to win? I don't know. But dominated and has no clear path to the pro ranks right now. According to Chris Kiefer on the race review that they did from Loretta's, he's technically not even really on like the full Team Green program. He's actually just kind of still fulfilling an old contract that he had with the program, and that is going to be done at the end of this year. So we now have maybe the best amateur talent coming from Loretta's, at least, not maybe in the nation, because obviously SMX Next has played into this a little bit, but from Loretta's with no clear path to the pro ranks. So is this a problem? And then what do you think Temmerman should do?
Well, this is awfully close to the topic we did last week.
It is, but we didn't talk about him specifically. We just talked about what these guys are doing.
Well, I don't proclaim to be an amateur expert, first of all. I don't proclaim to know the inner workings of his Team Green deal or his path to the pros. But doesn't this point to just a bigger issue with Kawasaki at large that recently Team Green hasn't automatically secured a ride with Pro Circuit, which kind of makes the entire system fall down. So that is just a continuation of a broken system within the Kawasaki camp, no?
I mean, yes, but I mean, we're going back and forth of late with trying to figure out whether or not Garrett Marchbanks is going to sign as the 5th rider there. Obviously, Masterpool's not coming back, but we have Hammaker, McAdoo, Kitchen, and I'm missing one other rider. Who am I missing? Man Friends. But, generally speaking, there's a little bit more openness at the back end of the PC team, whereas lately these guys that have been going through a really bad run of injuries like Hammaker and McAdoo keep getting chances to kind of prove their worth, which I think is fair because they're both race winning and championship almost proven talents. But it's created a logjam at PC that's existed now for years. So, let's say the off chance Marchbanks doesn't go back there, which sounds possible. He hasn't signed yet. He says he has been waiting for that to come to fruition, and it hasn't, and he goes somewhere else. Does that immediately open the door for Temmerman to race SMX Next, go out pro outdoors, like as a back end deal with the team, and maybe it works into a 2027 option?
Well, presuming that the Joe to Pro Circuit thing is now dead, because those rumors were around, but I feel like we would have confirmation by now if it were true. Yeah, I've got to think it's either Marchbanks or Temmerman, isn't it? And
Drew Adams is the other PC rider. Couldn't think of him.
Yeah, another one who's kind of was a little bit not exactly guaranteed of what he should have had or what riders before him had. But the fact that you forgot about him kind of points to exactly that. Like not doing a very good job of.
Well, he's been hurt a lot.
No, but I'm talking about like, yeah, I guess. But no, it's hard to decide what the right thing to do is because Marchbanks has more than proven that he deserves his spot on the team and he should be re-signed. But then also it's correct to give Temmerman the shot and continue the water flowing through the Team Green system. So I don't know. Either one. It's hard to disagree with either one of those sides. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that it kind of sounds like it's not going to work. I don't know. Maybe there is some inner workings going on behind the scenes, but I was surprised when Kiefer mentioned it on the podcast yesterday, like how little, not support's the wrong word, but how little like path to the pros has even been generated for Temmerman because Cowie's losing Landon Gordon, who won multiple SMX Next races this year, looked to be kind of the guy for them in Supercross. He is going to go to Star Racing. So it seems obvious to me that you would try to find a way to make Temmerman work. Otherwise, what's the Team Green program really doing at this point? Like, it's just facilitating amateur talents like a Temmerman to walk to someone else, which maybe is going to be okay because he doesn't really have another place to go. But it's kind of stupid to me.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like I say, this just points to something that's been going on for some time. The Team Green system doesn't necessarily guarantee you anything. And then at that point, what is the point of A, Team Green, B, signing for Team Green, and amateur racing at large?
Yeah.
It's a bigger problem here that extends beyond Temmerman. I have no idea what Temmerman will do. I don't proclaim to be an amateur expert. I have no idea. I've not heard a single rumor or report about what's coming. But there is a bigger problem there for sure, with certainty.
I mean, just to quickly run through, though, I mean, there's seriously not... Is there any other place he can go? Because if you have the never-ending talent that's going over to Star, backfilling the current pro team, Carson Wood, Caden Manier, Caden Dudney, and now Landon Gordon, there's not like a slot that you could put Temmerman over there, which would normally be a place that you would think, okay, well, if he just did this, Bobby's going to sign him next week. But I don't think that could happen. And then obviously the KTM group as a whole is kind of like trying to figure out how to fill like 7 pieces together. And it sounds like, okay, maybe there's a KTM seat available if Tom walks, but maybe that goes to Marchbanks if he walks at PC. So like, it kind of seems like a couple puzzle pieces need to fall in place for Temmerman to have anything open up. But right now, that doesn't sound like the door of possibilities are open. So I guess just wait for him.
Yeah, well, right now, we have one spot at HRC, one spot at the KTM group, let's say, one spot at Pro Circuit, and one spot at Triumph. And Shimoda, Marchbanks, Temmerman are the riders that have to fall into those slots, potentially Manier, because there's been rumours of him at KTM. So there are enough factory rides there for everyone, unless I'm forgetting a free agent.
Well, another thing that was said on this podcast yesterday that Steve did with Weege and Kiefer was that Deacon Deno, who won in the B class, has been riding a lot at Triumph and sounds like there's going to be some sort of amateur deal worked out. Maybe it turns into only SMX and X and right to pro because he's obviously a talented kid. I don't think that that's going to happen exactly that way, but at least maybe takes one of those Triumph rides off the table.
Yes, although I presumed that the Triumph 250 that's vacant would be a full-time pro deal.
Maybe, but so what do we have? Jordan Smith going to 450s for sure for them next year, and we have Robertson not coming back likely, and then we have Forkner, Swoll, Harrup, allegedly, and an open seat at Triumph. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense then, because I mean, I guess I would give him a 1-year chance if you go there. I don't know. Like, I haven't heard much rumblings either, like you said, about where he could go or what's going to happen. But when you have a week like he did there, and I know Loretta's, as we said, is not the end all be all anymore, it kind of, I feel like, puts teams on a bit of a like, hey, maybe you should have been paying attention. The dude just got 13th at Washougal as well. Like, he's been arguably better than a lot of the guys that turned pro right in front of him. Avery Long, Lux Turner, who else from that group? Parker Ross. Well, Ross has been better, but like Temmerman fits right into that group totally fine. And I feel like we keep talking about those guys as like, well, they're working on trying to get to the next level as well. And Temmerman might have just stepped in front of all of them this week. So
I think Club has a spot still as well.
yeah, but it sounds like it might go to somebody else. So
okay.
Anyway,
well, hopefully that's Gio.
Anyway, just interesting to see what ends up happening with him. So I'm going to try to get some more information in the next couple of weeks and see what I find out. But hey, Leatt had a good week down at the ranch as well. And Leatt Protection is in our brand DNA. It started 20 years ago with the groundbreaking Leatt neck brace and continues today with an extensive product offering of protective gear and riding apparel. But what Leatt really stands for is inspiring confidence and ensuring safety with every ride. And Leatt, of course, bringing you the LVK More Than Moto podcast, 70th episode, Big Lou. Can you imagine that you and I talking in front of a camera has made it this far?
What an amazing opportunity to talk about Prado and tie it into the 70th episode.
Are we going to have Prado Pod again today?
No. Well, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. No, but we do actually have some Leatt news to talk about on the unfortunate side a little bit. This is my second topic coming up. Colt Nichols is out for the rest of the 2025 SMX season, had a torn UCL in his right thumb. Said he actually had it happen from some crashes at Paula and Southwick and Redbud that really kind of pushed it over the line, and amazingly got ninth at Washougal on this, but is now out for the rest of the season as he got surgery on it. So I kind of wanted to riff on Nichols a little bit because we saw the beta situation. Well, he starts off his 450 career at Honda, has some good results. Ultimately, it didn't go probably the way that he had hoped. Goes to beta, definitely doesn't go the way he wanted. And so far at Suzuki, I feel like it's been a bit meh. Maybe you'd have a different opinion than me, but we're kind of running up against time a little bit with Colt Nichols and what he can keep doing on a 450 if he doesn't find a little bit more success. No?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would argue that Suzuki is kind of his last option. If he loses his Suzuki ride, I have no idea where he would go other than a very privateer effort like ISRT.
Okay.
So
yeah.
This is very much last chance saloon, I would say. I've been meaning to check on what his contract situation is.
I think he's in for there next year.
Yeah,
too.
so do I. That's what I remember it being a multi-year deal, but I feel like I want to clarify.
Well,
I think great. And
I from what I understand, obviously Hep is looking at Anderson. They, I think, took a peek at Ferrandis, but I don't think that's going to happen. And they will have Roxon coming back on the progressive side. So I think it's going to be basically the same team, but Chiz's ride will be Anderson's next year, and Nichols will just come back.
Yeah, well, Roxon hasn't actually signed yet, but he most likely will.
Yeah.
Anderson definitely hasn't signed yet, but he most likely will, I think is the feeling, the vibe. So, yeah, I guess there's a spot there for Nichols, and Nichols as a third rider is a great option. I don't think you'd get a third rider as esteemed as that in most cases. So, yeah, it fits. I just want to clarify, though. I'd like to clarify and just super confirm that that's a locked-in deal, because I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit more fluid than that.
Well, again, let's talk about Nichols and what he would have to do then in 2026 to like make this successful if he does come back with Suzuki. He had no top 10s except for an 8th at the Muddy Foxborough, and he only had one top 10 outdoors last time out of Washougal, getting 9th. What does he have to do? Like, what are we doing to turn this around at this point? Because, I mean, as he's admitted to us several times, he's struggling.
I think he just needs to be an 8 to 12 guy, which really is the bare minimum of what you should expect from a rider of Nichols' stature. I mean, he should be able to do that quite simply on a Beta or a Honda or a Suzuki. It doesn't really matter. There does seem to be quite a lot of mental challenges there. Bogle's been brought out to the races quite a lot just to kind of keep him loose and help and be a support network. Obviously, Nichols expected his 450 career to go a lot better than this. And obviously, he's beating his head against the wall as he just explores avenues and it's just repeatedly not working. But then again, he hasn't had really any sort of consistency or structure in his 450 career. He's bounced from home to home. So if he's back there next year, maybe another off-season and heading into a year with a catalogue of race data would be of great benefit. And maybe that puts him at ease a little bit more, helps him find comfort, and then we're off to the races.
Can I interject here that maybe this just is Colt Nichols' place in terms of status within this group? And not to disrespect him in any way, but if you look at 450 Supercross standings, he finished 14th. Mitchell Oldenburg did finish in front of him. You could argue, okay, Nichols is a former 250 Supercross champion. He should probably beat Oldenburg. But everybody above that, it's hard to find a reason why Nichols would beat that person. Maybe Shane McElrath, but McElrath had a year where we said many times he did better than I think his status would kind of put him as. And then all around him otherwise is 250 Supercross champions as well. Is he kind of just this position? Or do you think there is even more of that potential still in there?
No, I think 8 to 12 would be nice. I mean, that's a very, very small step from where he is now. But if he can be there consistently, there's no reason why Colt can't be a Joey or a Shane. Admittedly, both of those riders, their careers are equally sort of turbulent, and they don't really have forever homes, and they're kind of facing similar challenges to Colt. But Colt is a little bit off of them. So I think that's a fair place to expect Colt to be. I don't think anyone's expecting top fives at this point, but I believe a run of ninth places would be perfectly achievable for him. I really do.
I want to agree with that. But even if you say he beats Joey, Shane, and Mitchell, behind him in the 450 Supercross standings was Jet Lawrence and Eli Tomac, who went out with injury. So if you put them back in the status, he still is only 13th best on the list. To get to ninth, he has to leapfrog Barsha and Jason Anderson, Justin Hill. You know what I mean? I almost feel like he...
Well, 8 to 12.
But you know what I mean? Yes, he could fit into that group a little bit better, and it hasn't gone that way. But also, is 14th not that as bad as maybe I'm making it sound, because he's also kind of fitting into a group of guys that he probably battled on a 252.
Yeah, 14th isn't the end of the world. It would look better if there were just a couple of standout individual results. That's where the issue lies ultimately, because you recall what Colt Nichols has done in 2025, especially now that 2025 is over, and there isn't really anything that comes to mind. I would best describe this stint as just anonymous. So that's where the issue lies. Ultimately, not many people reference the championship standings. They reference particular races where they stood out, or there's a particular memory. There isn't one of those with Colt, and that's why you struggle to define what he's done and whether it's a success. And equally, I would imagine that's where Suzuki's at as well. But it's kind of just well, it wasn't bad, but there isn't really anything here that makes us exceptionally happy.
Yeah. Okay, interesting enough. Hopefully he springs back in 2026 and lands smoothly and softly like you guys can as well at Racetech Suspension. For 40 years, Racetech has been supplying the motorcycle industry with high-quality suspension components made right here in the USA. From modern to vintage, Racetech is your go-to source for suspension performance. And like I said, it was awesome to see all the Racetech rippers down at the ranch. A lot of positives from all of their talented mini rippers, big bike rippers, and so on and so forth. And we thank Racetech for their continued support of the show. All right, my last topic, Lewis. This is actually something that you said that got my mind spinning a little bit, but you tweeted out yesterday, I think, that for however they can make it happen, nations should return to Lommel. You think it's a great venue, and I agree. I think it would be very cool to see it back there. Logistically, maybe a little bit difficult, but we're now seeing nations in this spell the last 10 years or so, and it seems to be moving forward this way, where there's 3 tracks constantly being rotated through. France is guaranteed to have it next year at Ernée and somewhere else within France in 2029 and 2033. USA is guaranteed to have it this year at Ironman and again in 2028 and 2031. I'm sure Matterley-Basin also fits into this somewhere as well, and we're kind of just going to the 3 same countries more or less, over and over again. What do you think needs to happen to break this mold? And are there any tracks that can kind of push back into this mold again, a la Lommel?
The only tracks that are capable of those that have already hosted it: Lommel, Tuchenthal, Kegums. St. Jean as well. I don't really understand why that French Motocross of Nations is just consistently hitting Ernée. When St. Jean has done it before, I would argue that St. Jean is just as capable from an infrastructure point of view. Like, it is a little bit pokey with parking and stuff, but so is Ernée. I'm very surprised that it's always Ernée and never St. Jean. I think that's just because Ernée is so magical with the fans on one hillside. Kegums was kind of the catalyst for this routine we're in because the crowd was a little bit subdued and a little bit smaller in 2014. So I think that kind of forced their hand and made them decide that it's not worth going to places that aren't going to be a guaranteed hit, markets that aren't easy to reach. So that, whilst that makes some sense, I do believe that 11 years on, it's time to give Kegums another shot, and I do believe that more people would travel to Latvia now because it's more established as a great GP, an amazing venue, and I think more people would take that leap. Whereas 2014 sort of time, I think people were still a little bit unsure about what Latvia was all about and whether it was really somewhere you'd want to go.
Okay.
Tuchenthal, I don't know. I don't know why that's not come back either, other than they've had a bit of a turbulent relationship with Infront, and Infront haven't been happy with track prep and just their way of working, but that was 5-6 years ago now, so that I would think that wouldn't be relevant, but here we are.
So Majora was another one that was within the last decade that seems to be not in talks anymore. Assen is coming back for 27? 27? Why not Majora? Why not a new track like Lugo? Why not some of these other places in Europe that seem to have popular GPs, I guess is what I would describe it as, that just suddenly kind of don't fit into the narrative of what Infront is trying to do with how they put nations on?
Well, the reason why Majora is not really a GP track anymore is because of the immense legal trouble they got in for trying to host the nations. So that's just never going to be on the cards, I would imagine, unless there's a massive meeting with the local government and everyone clears the air and is willing to go back in on this thing. I mean, ultimately, Majora is a bit too tight for a nations anyway, so you're kind of taking liberties with that venue. What was the other one you said?
Why, like a new place like Lugo?
Well, I've never been to Lugo, but I mean, just looking at it on TV, there isn't really enough room for the fans, and then you got to look at hotels and international airports and all of that sort of stuff.
Okay, or what's the other Spanish track called? Not Kozar, the other one that you like that's at a mall.
Yeah, that could work. I've petitioned for that at points, but because it's near Madrid, so near an international airport, there's plenty of hotels around. There's a Five Guys so people can eat.
What's it called? I forget.
Into Xanadu.
Yeah, that one. Yep.
I don't know. There was actually some talk when that track first came around that there was interest, I think, of them doing a nations, but then it's not even a GP track anymore. So obviously that's not really worked out. And equally, parking, camping, don't think that really worked there in such a mainstream location. So, although there was a lot of surrounding land that I wondered.
Yeah, that's what I remember about that place is a lot of openness.
But I don't know if that was their land and if they could have had access to that, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, but like you look at most of the GP tracks and most of them just can't cope from a logistics point of view. You have to have an international airport, not only because so many people are coming from further afield, but also in some cases you are shipping bikes and stuff like that. And then you have to have enough hotels. Not only that, you have to have an airport that has enough rental cars for everyone. That's also a bit of an issue. And then in addition, you have to have enough room for the fans to stand, which can be a problem at these circuits. Like Trentino would be amazing, and Milan isn't that far away as an airport. There are plenty of hotels around with Lake Garda, but it just wouldn't work. You wouldn't be able to fit everyone in. Lockett, same thing. Lockett, you just wouldn't be able to fit everyone in. Uddevalla, you just wouldn't be able to fit everyone in. So there's just a very select few events or venues that can host an event of this magnitude.
And that makes sense logistically, but do you think that this is, I don't know, not saying not good for nations is a bad way of putting it, but it kind of sucks a little bit of the life out of it to me that we go to the same 3 countries basically over and over again. Even though they can host nations, they have the facilities to do it. And while I agree USA deserves to be in the rotation, every 3 years feels like maybe a bit much for that. Like maybe every 5th year or something going back to the USA would be a little bit better. Do you look at it that way? Like, does it kind of suck a little bit of that mystique around nations that we're just going to the exact same tracks and places over and over again?
Yes, but I would argue that I would almost be more excited to go to Ernée this year than I would be Ironman.
Yeah.
Because of the magic there. I think, although it's different to Redbud, Ironman to me is just very much Redbud Part 3. Like, it's not entirely different. You know that from an activation point of view, a lot of the American nation things are just coming back again as they did at Redbud. And I think it will just have a very samey feel to it, even though it's a venue that's never hosted the nations before. Whereas when you go from Ernée to Matterley to Assen, etc., all of those races have a very unique feel and a magic about them, which I think you struggle to capture at an American nations, mainly because all of the tracks are just so similar.
Well, I mean, I guess what I was going to ask with that is if the nations ended up at Paula, would you just be like pissed or Hangtown even or something
terrible.
like that?
Yeah, no, that's terrible. I don't even like going to nationals there.
Well, but that's what I'm saying is that you're
Millville?
right. Every
A
national,
little bit more magic to Millville?
yes, but it's still kind of the same thing. And another thing that
it's a more different vibe to Redbud and Ironman.
yeah, and another thing I thought about with Millville is, I mean, there's just simply no way they leave the track the same there. And Millville's kind of got like this historic way about it at this point where the track is weathered into the hillsides in a certain way. And so
you would have said the same about Redbud's start. No,
you wouldn't have. I think people believed the Redbud start was going to change at some point soon regardless because there's way too many first turn crashes.
I disagree because otherwise it would have happened in the 20-some years previous.
I think you're giving too much credit to track designers.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, I wish that we just went to a couple different nations.
It just aren't like I've had people say, "Oh, Argentina, Australia will never work in a million years."
Of course, those won't work. But I mean, I think there's ways to make some of those other tracks work. Would it be tight on some of them? Sure, but that's kind of you can't lose that. The mystique of nations a little bit of you go to these different facilities all around the world a little bit, even though it's basically all of Europe, and try different types of tracks out. Like we're just doing the same Rocky France tracks. You know, Matterley's a great track. I think that one deserves to be in rotation. But Ernée and Saint Jean going back and forth, like, okay, we're just going to more rocky French hillsides over and over again.
Oh, well, you would prefer to go to a rocky Italian hillside?
No, but I think, you know, like you said, Lommel being back on would definitely make some interesting results again. The
only reason I don't want Lommel to happen is I really, 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 really doubt that the AMA could get a Team USA together for that. So I think that would be risky. And then also, from an organization point of view, Lommel is so hanging in the balance with local government and potentially being shut down at points that I would imagine for In Front to sign a contract with them to host the nations in 2029 is just too risky that far in advance because you don't really know with Lommel. So I'd imagine that plays into it as well. But Lommel would be amazing. I mean, the viewing isn't great because it's so flat, but just look at the GP. It was so cool to see Lommel because it's so unique. It's such a spectacle. It would be amazing, I think.
How come do you think they don't even try anymore to do Donington, French Quarter, Zolder, Jerez? Like they went to these road course racetracks and built a moto track because the infrastructure is already there. Like I know they do Assen. I don't want to consider that in the same echelon of the tracks I just named because they actually built purpose-built tracks that were good at those other facilities.
Hey, Assen's good.
No, but I'm saying Assen is very much like, yeah, we just laid sand down on the road course. Whereas Zolder was very much, we're going into the hills and out of it and back on the road course and all this other shit too, which is cool. And Assen's fine because it's a sand track, but you can't do that. Like if they went back to Lausitzring I would just feel the same thing about that, where it's like, oh, you're just building dirt jumps into an oval.
Well, yeah, but Lausitz's ring was hardpack, and that just doesn't work with hardpack. That's why Assen works, because it's sand. If Assen was hardpack, it would be a terrible track.
But you know what I mean? Like, I thought Franciacorta was cool. I thought Donington was kind of cool. I thought Zolder was really cool. Like, I think they could try that, no?
Yeah, but everyone complains when we go to man-made tracks. That's all they get is negative press, so why risk it, I guess?
Was there that much about Franciacorta and Donington? I don't remember
Well, it's
those.
a different time, isn't it? Social media wasn't around as much, like it's a different time. Anytime now it's announced that there's an MXGP round at a man-made track, all anyone does is complain. All you saw online about Finland was negative press because everyone was complaining. Like, they could do it, sure. But also, I would imagine it's a logistical challenge because all of these road race facilities do have other events scheduled. You'd have to block out a significant amount of time, for like a month essentially, for the nations. And then also you get into the negotiation point of view where if you went to an F1 track, they would probably be like, well, yeah, you can pay us to come here. You know, like would an F1 track want to pay for the nations when they're already involved in contracts for F1 that brings them a lot more revenue and a lot more interest?
Yeah, but you don't have to go to an F1 track. Donington, Franciacorta, Zolder aren't F1 tracks anymore. Neither is Jerez. I mean, Jerez does MotoGP, but I think you could go to some facilities like that are a little bit more historic and build some
Donington wasn't that cool.
Okay, fine. Donington, take that one off the list.
Well, no, none of them were. Franciacorta wasn't that good. Like, it was just...
I mean, dude, if you watch that Nations back, the hillsides all around that place were packed. I thought the track was kind of okay. Like, it made for some interesting racing. I don't know. Maybe I'm, rose-colored glasses with that, but that's the way you solve the infrastructure problem. You have a massive facility already purpose-built for taking on hundreds of thousands of fans, and then you build a track at an iconic venue like that. I think it maybe gets a little bit of a leeway as opposed to a purpose-built, man-made track in a parking lot at Frauenfeld or something like that. You know, like, it's different because it's not at a more historic venue, I think.
Yeah, but what you're asking for is not only a man-made track, but you're asking for a man-made track that has some elevation nearby the track builders can use. Like, that's a very specific request. I think that ultimately a man-made facility, a road facility with a man-made track is ultimately the only way we're going to get new venues for the nations now. I do believe that because, as I listed, there just aren't traditional motocross tracks that can cope. But I don't think it's so easy to just be like, yeah, let's go to Donington this year. You know? I just don't think it's that easy.
All right. Well, you know more about those ones than I do, so just making your brain about it.
Also, MXGP has kind of gone away from that a little bit. Like, there's less of those in GP form, even.
Yeah, but I think there was enough pushback on that people were like, okay, yeah, GPs are basically coming parking lot races because you just had Shanghai and Frauenfeld and Turkey, which is a cool track, but it's a parking lot GP. Sorry, it is. And I think that the GPs need to have those more classic tracks as part of their schedule to make it what it is. You can't just only have man-made facilities all over the world.
I take issue with that because you just listed Frauenfeld, but Frauenfeld has the elevation that you seem to love with Franciacorta and stuff. There's no different to Franciacorta. Franciacorta didn't have hills like Fox Hills.
Okay, yes.
Frauenfeld has slopes as an elevation as well.
Just want to go back to Zolder and not have one moto.
I don't even know if Zolder still exists.
Yeah, it does.
Well, certainly not in motocross form.
Well, yeah, I mean, the track doesn't, but I don't know. Maybe you can make something work. All right, let me tell you about Namura. Namura Technologies has been a trusted name in performance engine components for motocross, ATV, UTV, and personal watercraft for over 20 years. From complete rebuilds to high-performance upgrades, Namura delivers precision-engineered parts built to perform under pressure. Their expanding lineup includes cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, engine valves, and cylinder kits, all designed to meet or exceed OEM specifications. Find full product details and application coverage at Namura.com. All right, second half of the show. Lou, I know you have a lot of burning questions to throw at us, don't you?
Yeah, let's get into fan questions. Let's just do that straight away. Very surprised and encouraged by the amount of fans that reached out. So we're not going to get to everyone's questions. because we're just not. But we will do a good job of going through a lot of them. First up, a question that I'll take. I mean, Kellen can try and take it, but I don't know if he's really an expert on the subject. J. Peterson 57, Team GB MXON chat, please. Happy for me to take this one?
Yeah, go ahead, Lewis.
I am 99% certain that Anstey isn't doing the Nations. So, with that in mind, it has to be Watson, Sterry on a 250, and Conrad on a 450. There's no other logical team. It makes perfect sense. It seems like Ben will be able to go. I don't see why Conrad wouldn't go. He has got that wrist problem that he stopped him from doing Southwick and the British GP and stuff, but he's winning still, so why not? And Sterry would jump at the chance, and you can probably get him a stock KTM 250 from somewhere and just make it work. So I would, if Anstey's out, which it certainly seems that way, I would believe it would be Ben, Sterry on a 250, and Conrad. Although, from what I know from talking to some of those people, I don't exactly feel as though we're any closer to finalising a team. JW381, do your best American accent since idiots can't fathom you have a British accent. But what I just wanted to touch on this quickly. Isn't it amazing people like Tom Holland? Like Tom Holland, when he acts, he just puts on an American, like he just does an American accent and it's faultless and you wouldn't even be able to tell. It's incredible.
You know, the one of those that always gets me, I just can't even believe it, is there's this TV show in the U.S. called House. And what is the actor's name? I can't remember his name, but he is British as they come, and he is fully Americanized in this TV show. And when you hear him talk in an interview, it's very jarring.
Okay, noted. Let's see here. I don't really want to do that.
I thought you were going to do an American accent. Come on.
No, I'm not doing it. I just wanted to say how amazing it is that Tom Holland can do that.
Okay.
Geert Laurison. Is it possible that Prado struggles because he skipped the 250 class in the US? I don't think so. But from a source close to the Prado situation, his initials are JP. He told me that he still doesn't ever want to do the 250 class and doesn't think he should have, because in the off-season on a Supercross test track, he was faster than McAdoo and faster than Kitchen and like guys who have raced Supercross forever. So he still feels as though like the 250 class would have been a waste of time and a hindrance, and he should be in the 450 class. You want to have a say on that?
Well, I think what's interesting about the that topic in general is he wasn't that bad in Supercross. Like, he was exactly, I feel like, where we expected him to be. His qualifying was a little bit off. He raced near the top 10. That's totally fine for your first ever time doing it on a 450. Was he going to get better? Probably. Like, I think by the end of the year, we're talking 6, 7, 8 fairly easily at times. And he didn't get to show that. The only reason we're so hypercritical on his outdoors right now is because, as we've said 100 times, he is so much better than this outdoors. Like, I do not want to hear one more comment of people saying he's just not this good against the Americans. Bullshit. He is this good. So the fact that he's not doing it is why we talk so much about it.
Here, here. Dr. JB, would making the MXON every other year or every third year make it more significant? With it occurring every year, it seems riders are more okay with skipping the race. Additionally, I feel fans also disregard the significance of a race since it occurs as often as a regular national. I don't want to hear it. I love the Nations. Don't take it away from me. Don't change it. Leave it as it is. I am just as excited right now for the Nations in October as I was at this time last year, and I was the year before that. There's no change in my vibe, no matter who races and who doesn't. As long as all of the countries are there and represented by their top athletes in some form, I'm all in.
Yeah, and I also saw some discourse in the comment section of I believe this tweet of someone saying that like the Nations is not the biggest event of the year. Again, hard disagree. The fanfare around it, the amount of attention it gets, the world media attention that it gets is bar none the biggest race between MXGP and AMA. It's not close. I don't want to hear, A1 or the first outdoor national. No, Nations is the biggest race of the year.
Okay, fair. Alex Johnson. MXO and Euro teams, what do we know? Is Lewis Phillips confirmed as Team GB manager? No, it seems that's never going to happen. I still hold out hope, although I wouldn't want a job this year because logistically getting everyone to America would be too difficult. So I'll just take it when it's in GB. And also I'll take it when Anstey isn't on a Star Yamaha because that adds its own headache. To be honest, I'm very surprised that Team Belgium wasn't announced at Lommel, although it sounds as though it'll be Lucas, Sasha, and Liam Everts on a 450, because everyone seems to be quite confident that he'll be back and ready. I don't know for sure if Jeffrey is coming, but if Jeffrey is coming, you would think it would be Hurlings, De Wolf, Koldenoff. If Jeffrey isn't coming, it would be Koldenoff, Landrin, De Wolf. Like, that's quite easy to figure out. I don't know if Prado does it for Spain. I would be very surprised if he does. But Fares and Fernandez are right there, and Oriol Oliver can fill in if Prado doesn't go. What other European teams are there? France, I haven't heard anything, but again, being smart, Fevre, Vial, and Renault, like that's fairly... I can't really think of anything that would upset that team. That seems quite logical. Give me another European country. Who top one?
I wouldn't call this a top one, but a sleeper one is Germany, if they can find a third rider to go along with Langenfelder and Roxen.
No, well, I've said this years now. If Roxen, Langenfelder, and Nagel all turn up and are all on their top form, they can win. It just really has to be like the perfect scenario of whatever you want to call it. But yeah, to be honest with you, from a competitive point of view, this Nations doesn't look that competitive, that much parity, because it does really seem that USA will run away with it and Team Australia will run away with second, and then the European nations will squabble over third. It doesn't really seem like there's much competition.
I mean, I again, you're probably right with that on paper, but it seems like every year we think that's going to happen, France somehow wins the race. So
it's been a little while now since we played that game. I mean, look at last year. France. I mean,
they literally just won
nowhere
2 years ago.
Yeah, but that wasn't. Everyone expected that. That was almost. They were the favourites without doubt. It was either going to be them or Australia.
Yeah, I was going to say Australia was. I almost want to say the favourites going in that year.
But if they're 50-50 the favourites with Australia, you can't take that as, look at that, they squeaked it out.
They squeaked it out, Lewis. Come on home soil.
Life or death situation. Are you picking Chase or Jorge? I'm not going to answer that. There's actually a lot of questions like that, weirdly. Kai Cole 14 seems to think we are a enduro off-road expert. He wants to know Enduro GP versus all US off-road series. Who is the best all-round riders? We'll get back to you on that. We'll go deep into the off-road space, do our due diligence, and come back. And he also followed up with, does ISDE actually settle this debate?
Nah.
Again, come back to you on that. The ISDE is a bigger deal than I think we all give it credit for. I feel like we should all put a little more emphasis on the ISDE as
it's massive. It's just like a literally whole different world of our sport. To me, it's like Dakar in a way, where I follow Dakar pretty closely, but I don't know anybody else that does.
I don't care. TD248, will we ever see US teams push for MXGP riders interested in coming over to race WSX to prove they're capable in SX before investing in them? It's not logistic. It makes sense on paper as a pie in the sky idea, but it's too logistically impossible.
No, I mean, to me, like, all the factory US teams don't give a crap about WSX. Like, they're pretty much, from my understanding, they're all still super annoyed they got to fly bikes over there for the three guys that want to keep doing it. So, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think that putting a rider on a test track and putting them in WSX is the same reference point as, like, can they do Supercross? Yeah, good, let's go.
Yeah.
And again, we haven't had a guy fail in a very long time, have we? Diamond SC 1990. Who's the next rider you could get to cry during an interview? That's not fair. Yeah, who do you think you can get to cry, Kellen?
I don't know. I mean, I've had some interviews where guys got emotional. Does that count? Like I had an interview with AC the day before his last race where it wasn't crying, but he was definitely like choked up a little bit about his career. Does that count?
No.
Okay, great. Perfect.
Oh, we already answered this, but we'll give Trevor Parquet his credit. With 21 going to HEP, does that give Colt the boot, or is he on a 2-year deal? We discussed that, but we'll give him his credit. Who? Oh, look at this. Cody Piscitelli. Who's the favourite team for MXON? Seems like lots of meh teams being sent. Kind of what I just said. But Team USA should not be a meh team with Chase, Deegan, Eli incredibly likely.
Can I ask you quickly, if any of those three, for whatever reason, can't do it, how big of a hit does that take, like, for USA?
Well, it makes it so that Team USA and Australia are 50-50 favourites, I think.
Okay. So, like,
right?
J. Coop on a 450 instead of Tomac, we're back to 50-50. Kitchen on a 250 against, instead of Deegan, we're back to 50-50, you think?
I would argue that Kitchen on a 250 makes Australia the favourites. No hate comments.
Oh. Well, who else are you going to put?
Well, I'm not saying anyone, Kellen. I'm just saying if you lose Deegan, that makes Australia the favourites.
Okay.
Let's see here. Josh Coyne, 95. MXGP, do you think this weekend's GP signalled a changing of the guard with the big guns? Jeffrey crashed more than you'd expect him to, even with the lack of fitness, and Coonan executed a strong weekend at home and looked to be living up to the big home star. Sorry to ramble. That's not a ramble, Josh. That's perfectly fine. Do you want to go or shall I?
Well, first of all, I just can't believe that someone said Jeffrey Hurling's crashed more than usual and you're not hitting back super hard on that. But
well, I am going to as soon as it's my time.
Okay, well, I will just say with this, man, I am very, very impressed at this point in Lucas Coonan to be handling the pressure the way that he has and continually delivering. Like, he just looks as polished as any veteran out there, and he's still a rookie in this class. And I would say of all the rookies that have come through into MXGP in the past, he's the one who I most thought would have the big mistakes. And the fact that he hasn't is shocking to me. So kudos.
My Jeffrey rode once in 6 weeks and probably shouldn't have been there. And if you saw his lap time from the second moto,
159.
That's all you need to know. 159 compared to everyone else's best lap times in a 203. So I genuinely believe if Jeffrey was on top form, he would have just pissed it. I really do. And I've got evidence of that being the opening lap of Moto 2, because he just went. And Coonan and Fevre were in the mix, like they could have made an effort to go with him. Maybe they anticipated him getting tired, which was obvious. I don't know. But Jeffrey is still the man. And I'm very impressed with Coonan. It really it wasn't a changing of the guard, but it was a confirmation of just how good and stable Coonan is. And I'm also very happy that Fevre went 1-2, because I was so sick of the discourse saying, Fevre's going to lose so many points, he's not a sand guy. No, he is a sand guy. He's great in the sand. I'm so glad that he delivered. I was really on that. Steen Duckworth, why were you racing at Barrett Road in New Zealand? Heard you mention it on a podcast. Cheers. Hi, Steen Duckworth. I lived there, so Barrett Road was 20 minutes from my house. Big up Barrett Road. Great track. Maybe I'll go back there one day and do something.
You should call them and see if they'll pay for your flight.
Yeah, I will actually. I'm sure that the local track has a lot of budget. What have we got over on Twitter now? Ryan Adin 08. Find out who is riding for Team New Zealand. Well, that's a bit aggressive, but I'll do that for you.
Yeah, figure it out.
James Petch 195. Is Jed Beaton the best MX2 rider to have never won a GP? Really got to think now. God, really have to think. I'm going to pull up some random MX2 results to see if any names jog a memory, but he's certainly in the mix at this early stage of the conversation, I would say. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I'm digging through my brain right now.
I mean, you can say Jacoby, you can say Sterry, but
Did
Beaton was
Roulance
better
ever
than
win a
both of them.
GP?
Yes. I remember him Latvia 2012 specifically.
Okay.
Watson won GPs, of course, so that's him out of the conversation. No, I've got one. Hunter.
Well, I mean, definitely for future projections, that's a big one.
Yes. I think Hunter. Yeah, it's hard because he didn't spend that much time in GPs and he was on subpar equipment. So you could argue that he needs to be thrown out of the conversation just because he doesn't really count. But Hunter would take the baton, I think. And I also think it's like massively overlooked that Hunter didn't win GPs. Because I think everyone just presumes, oh yeah, Hunter must have been winning GPs and then taken to America. But no, like he was taken to America before he ever got to that point.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a sponsor read?
Yeah, let me tell you guys about Partzilla. Partzilla.com is the premier OEM parts dealer and distributor. They sell OEM parts for Honda, Kawasaki, Polaris, Can-Am, Suzuki, Arctic Cat, Sea-Doo, Ski-Doo, and Yamaha motorcycles, ATVs, PWCs, and snowmobiles. Visit Partzilla.com to see their extensive line of parts and accessories. No team update this week. No PRMX update of any kind to give out, but they are excited to get back behind the gate at Ironman.
True that. T. Reese says, riders who were not happy with bikes that turned things around without switching teams. Chase in Supercross, right? That counts?
Ish.
How? I think he was very vocal about how much he hated his life last year, and this year he almost won the championship. So I think that counts.
Yeah, but he was still... Yeah, okay. I'll give it to you.
And then Koldenhoff, he was really... at points, he really didn't gel with the Yamaha to begin with, and then he got to a point where he won a GP on it. So
Can we say Roxon when he was on RCH?
Yeah. I think that's less. That counts less, but I think it still counts.
There was the whole drama about changing suspensions and his dad getting involved in 2015 and stuff like that, and then he goes 20-4 in 2016 outdoors.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can think it counts less, but it counts. What else have we got here? Scott Clever. How are the Disney Pixar movies coming along? I recommend Zootopia if you haven't seen it already. No, I watched Zootopia on a plane, actually. Always piqued my interest. Very impressed by Zootopia, I have to say. Have you seen it, Kellen?
No.
No, very impressed I was, because I'm a real details guy, and I was very impressed with the details in the surroundings and the way someone had dreamed up this environment. But to be honest with you, as far as they're coming along, there's not anything new out, so I'm stuck. But what I have been doing at the moment is rewatching Power. Ever seen it, Kellen?
No, but you've mentioned it a few times at this point, so I feel like I need to.
I am like a Jehovah's Witness for Power. Knocking on doors. Have you seen Power? Well, let me tell you all about it. I highly recommend that everyone goes and watches it because it's the greatest spectacle. It's like the 2021 MXGP season. That level of good, which is incredible. There's actually a shit ton of questions. I don't know where to stop. I've skipped so many as well. Nunny421, VL named for WSX Australia. Will he be on a Honda? Will Tomac be on a KTM for WSX? I would say yes to both, although there's a lot of rumours going around at the moment that Tomac isn't done with KTM, but I think he is. But that's
I love the dramatic done.
I don't know. There's a lot of those rumours.
I mean, what else is he going to do, to be honest?
I don't really know. This Aiden S26 seemed to get confused. What is his favourite size surfboard? Like, who's him? Kellen?
You? I don't know. What you've been surfing lately? I know Chase surfs. Why don't you go out with him?
The question just said, what is his favourite size surfboard and what places has he surfed?
Maybe it's you would know about what Chase's favorite size surfboard is and where he surfed because he does it. And
yeah,
you
I think
guys are best
just
friends.
Presume that I was asking for questions for Chase randomly.
Maybe.
But Kellen, would you like to tell us about your surfing? No?
I've only surfed once. I was not very good at it. Even though I grew up very close to the beach, I am much more of a mountain person.
Okay. Don't want to ask that. That can wait. Not interested in that. A lot of questions about if Coonan wins the title, does it kill his American chances? Because he has to race the 450 class. I don't think it kills them. I just think that he would be a little more methodical, maybe. Like, maybe it's less of a rush to come here, and it's a little more like, I don't know, considered.
Yeah. I mean, he has to be looking at what Prado's going through and thinking like, right?
I don't know if. I mean, you could say that about every single MXGP rider, that they would look at Prado and go, "Yeah, fuck that."
Right.
But the Coonans don't lack confidence, nor does their father. No, I mean, and also you look at Supercross specifically. I think that, like you said earlier, Prado's been just fine in Supercross, hasn't he? So,
what percent chance do you give it that either Coonan ends up in the USA?
by ever?
Ever?
Oh, 100%.
It's 100% still going to happen.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Free Tony C, no questions, but your insight and knowledge of the MXGP goings on are fantastic. Thanks, Free Tony C. Stay tuned to tomorrow's MXGP podcast because I have another big story to explode, which I'm fairly certain is going to happen now. Little teaser. I think someone's getting out of their contract a year early. So stay tuned tomorrow. There's so many questions. So many questions. Haven't had one of these in a while. Paranoid Dude 1. If Masterpool were to head over to MXGP, would any factory team consider him? And how do you think he would do? Kellen?
No factory team would consider him. If he got onto like, God, I don't even know what team, maybe JM or something like that, I think he could top 10 some motos. And that would be the ceiling.
He would top 10 some motos. He would disappear after 2 rounds. No one would really know why. And that would be the end of his GP experience.
It seems that Masterpool is very much a person of like right time, right place, if you will. As soon as he lands in a position where like he's 100% comfortable, everything's great. But as soon as it's a little off, it's never good. So, I mean, I guess max ceiling is a top 5 in a moto on like a team that he loves and a bike that he loves. But I doubt that would ever even come close to happening.
There's a couple of requests to bring back Am I a Dick? It didn't work. Because I thought we were all going to have a joyous old time, laugh at Lewis, laugh at the world, and everyone just seemed to turn very angry about it.
But the fans are demanding it. I've seen many questions about this.
I had a joke for the start of this podcast that I also decided to put away because I was just like, it's not going to land. So, I think it's gone. I think the only way I can bring it back is if other people are a dick to me, and then I can say, were they a dick? Because then I don't get the heat, but the genesis of the...
So change it to, are they a dick?
Yeah, pretty much. We don't want Prado questions, do we? Good luck to Prado this weekend.
Yep.
Dumbass race fan, explain a week in the life of Lewis. I cry, I laugh, I go to sleep.
You watch Zootopia?
I record podcasts. I contemplate whether this is all worth it in life. And then I go to sleep. What else do we have? Silly season hot takes, unpopular predictions. I don't think I have any.
No, I think it's pretty closed door at this point. Like I don't feel like we're about to be blindsided by much, right? Like sometimes
well, we
there's
know
like
everything now, don't we? Like if you fast forward, if you rewind back to the beginning of 2025 and explain some of the things that were going to eventually play out, at that point we would have been like, oh my God. Yeah. But now we've all the rumors and all of the hints, like there's nothing left, I think, that can be a surprise.
No, I don't think so. I mean, if anything, it would just be like maybe Marchbanks doesn't re-sign a PC and goes to KTM would be the biggest, like, whoa.
That was what was on my mind as well. But that wouldn't be like, I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, like, oh, that actually happened. Okay, all right.
JW67, Jeffrey and Chase are in a burning building. Who do you say first? See, told you, a lot of those. A-Ray 140. Who is a more well-rounded journalist, Lewis or Kellen, as far as credibility and knowledge? I don't think we want to touch that.
I mean, Listen,
Let's do it.
I
Wait,
will
let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it like you're voting for King of Prom. You got a minute to state your you got a minute to do your speech about why you should be voted King of Prom.
I will concede because I say at the moment right now, you're a better journalist than me. I think you have the ability to do a little bit more than me, which helps your case. But you also have taken your opportunities here and really made the most of them with how you approach things, who you get information from, how you get that information, and how you regurgitate it to the public. I think I've fallen short in a lot of those areas, but I also think that that's just the nature of where we both are in our careers, because I'm doing something very different to what you are doing, even though we both are working in the media, so to speak. So,
yeah, I guess.
I mean, like, genuinely, don't you feel that if you had to do some of the things I do on the weekend, you would get less out of it?
No, because to be honest, none of my stuff comes from the weekend. I feel
No,
like,
but
to be honest,
you get to run around the pits. For example, you get to run around the pits during qualifying. I'm taking photos and editing photos until the moto starts.
See, I don't do that.
Yeah, you do.
I don't, because I don't really like. Honestly, I don't really talk to anyone until the end of the day, because apart from like talking to other media people, I don't really have. I don't know. It doesn't really feel comfortable doing that in America because it's also rushed.
You came back. I think it was Red, but you came back to the media tent at one point and just said, "Oh, I just had a 30-minute conversation with I forget the rider, but it was somebody." So
no, it was Caroli, but it wasn't Caroli. It was Jill.
Well, there you go. Figured out more about
Jill
that.
about my life, really. We weren't talking about anything.
You probably figured more stuff out.
No, just Jill was asking how I was, and I told her that I cry, I laugh, I go to sleep, and then she gave me some advice. I love the Carolis. Great people.
But also, you go to every race, and I don't, which gives you a bit of an upper hand, too.
I think next year, not to break news, fairly certain next year I will be going to less American races and be doing one GP a month.
Oh.
Because to A Ray's point about being well-rounded, I think that would be revolutionary for the motocross world.
Well, if you need gaming news, I'm right here.
Let you know about that. Do we want to keep... There's so many questions. We're not even halfway through the Instagram ones, and I've barely touched the Twitter ones. One about Enzo Temmerman. So Chris Jones, we tackled yours. What does UK motocross need to do to help bring new talent through younger riders to MXGPs or AMA? Bleak time for English Moto, said Harry Birch. I'm actually working on a massive story at the moment, which obviously no American media is going to want, so I'm kind of just doing it for myself. But I'm working on a massive story about the British Championship's rebirth, and like, I don't even know why I'm doing it, because no one's going to want it. How weird will that look on Vital?
You're doing it because you strive to be as good as Adam Wheeler.
I really do. Adam really... I'll tell you what, Adam's the source of all of my issues. You know what they say about, like, it must drive Chase Eli Hunter crazy having to race Jet every week. That's me with Adam. Like, it's just fucked my life.
The difference is Jet and Sexton are not doing a podcast every week and texting each other about, the things that they're doing. So
yeah, but that doesn't make a difference. It's the same for you as well, Kellen. No matter how good we both become, we will never be remotely close to the level of the top person. So we're fucked. It's over.
It's over.
Bring back I'm a Dick. I don't know. There's so many fucking questions. A lot of people asking, is Chase to Cowie done? Nick Palmer 392. A while back, Keller said your apartment had a marina Rue Rich.
I did?
Rue Rich. Oh, no. A while back, Keller said your apartment had a marina. This is why grammar's important, people.
Oh, you're rich.
Are you rich?
Are you rich?
I don't have a marina.
It's close.
Yeah, like it's near the marina. I'm not rich. I'm actually incredibly poor. And if I'd stayed in Europe, I'd be a lot richer than I am now. But hey, life lessons learned. Are we done? Honestly, we could do we could do 2 hours with these questions. JB651, are you lost? Like that, JD651. That's my type of humor. I like that. I appreciate that.
Do you feel that you are more lost than Jorge is lost?
Yes, 100%. That's why it's okay to a lot of questions about how I left MX Vice and whether it was bad terms for some reason, which is weird for those to come up at this time.
Can I ask you a question about that?
I may veto it.
That's fine. Do you think you'll ever talk about what happened?
Well, I don't really think anything happened per se. I honestly, the way I describe it to people is it was way more than just a job, and the relationships were so close and so like far-fetched from worker, employee, boss dynamic that I think that ultimately the way it was never like it was just too there were too many emotions attached to the situation from every side, and ultimately in retrospect I look back and I think I don't know if anything could have possibly been done where the emotions wouldn't have been too much or taken over.
Let me clarify my question then, because you're kind of dancing around all of the ins and outs of it. Do you think you'll ever like explain the ins and outs?
No, I don't think there really were ins and outs other than I don't know. But like nothing. Like I don't know. Like there is a part of me. There is a part of me that massive. Like I miss MX Vice massively, and I wish I could go back. Like those were without doubt the best days of my career and my life. Like without doubt.
Because the reason I say this is because like whatever you get these guys like Carmichael and stuff 20 years after the fact to say like, oh, this is how much my contract was, or this is what Honda was doing that I didn't like, and they'll like be very forthcoming about it. Do you think that for both really you and me, because we both had tumultuous, times at our different brands that we've been associated with, that you'd ever get to the point to even saying stuff like that? Or is that more specific to, an athlete spilling the beans?
Well, I don't think anyone cares, to be honest, and I highly doubt.
Clearly, they do. They're asking you the question.
I highly doubt anyone will still listen to me in 20 years' time. But no, like what I said is true. Like I do, like even now, I do kind of not idolize. What's the word? What's the word when you like look back on something and idolize? It's like idolize. I don't know, but I do look back on the MX Vice days, and I'm like, those were sick. Like I'm like, it was such a good dynamic of like. Just a group of people, underdogs, if you will, just really doing, like, stretching everything to the maximum to be the best. And, like, it was such a... I liken it to, like, a startup. Well, it was a startup. But, like, everyone was just on the same page. And everyone... It was such a good team dynamic. Like, everyone pushed each other. Everyone worked as a team. Everyone... Like, it was... In its heyday, it was great, and we built something really special. I genuinely believe that. Like, I don't know if I'd ever be as proud as I am of what MX Vice became.
2018 MXGP media winner?
2016 and 2019.
2016 and 2019. There you go.
And 2016 was only our second year doing GPs, so it's quite big to get that award that early. And 2019, it was at the point where I was like, if we don't get a fucking award, then we riot. But Brent Norman, 92. Is Maxime Renault trying to get out of his Yamaha contract? Stay tuned to the MXGP podcast tomorrow. I don't know. Are we done? This is endless. Any news on the combined MXGP AMA race? No, it's on the back burner for now, but I think it still exists. Fuck, marry, kill. Chase Jeffrey Sewer. Not answering that. Mikkel Harrop sent in 7 questions. Don't know why.
Did he?
Yeah. Just the most random... He's clearly got a lot on his mind.
Well, pick one.
Well, I don't know if I should say them because, like, should I, like... Mikkel Harrop 11. Is the Alta HRC really a done deal? He's got stuff on his mind. He's got questions. Mikkel Harrop 11. Do you know the official viewer numbers of MXGP TV? He's got stuff on his mind.
Yeah, he wants to know. He's curious minds want to know.
Mikkel Harrop 11. What are your plans for 2026? He just wants to know. He's got questions. I
feel like he can text you.
Yeah, exactly. He's clearly he's just, he's got questions. I think we're done, aren't we?
It's up to you, man. You're the one that has all the questions.
Okay. For Lewis and we'll end on this. For Lewis and Kellen, when Steve retires from Pulp, would either one of you seriously consider taking over and being the face of Pulp?
Do you want me to answer first?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, but I think if that does end up happening, Pulp would look different than it does now. And I'm not saying that we would like change all the work that Steve's done or whatever, but I think that, I mean, you'd have to say if you agree with me or not. I think that we could make Pulp bigger and do more. Not that Steve hasn't done amazing things already, but I think that we have a different approach to media than he does. So I don't know if people would like that, you know?
I agree with you, but I more was thinking about it from a different point of view. I don't think either one of us could just appear in Steve's chair and it all be the same, because I think people wouldn't
That's
accept
what I mean.
that. So like it would have to change just to accommodate, like just to be to like people, like things are changing. Because I think if we just dropped in and started doing exactly what Steve does, it would look like too much like we're trying to be Steve, and then people would be like, well, you're not Steve, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Little known fact that people don't know, when I tying it into the MX Vice thing, in 2022, when Vital approached me, Steve also approached me about working for Pulp. And there was another media company as well. So that's also why I left MX Vice when I did, because Vital were talking to me, Steve was talking to me, the other media company were talking to me, and I thought to myself, fuck, like if I stay in Europe now, that's so many doors to close that none of them will open again. Like I was like, how can I have to kind of do it now because everyone's asking. It's a little behind the curtain. But no, yeah, like obviously, yeah, that'd be a great opportunity. It would scare me a little bit. I think there would be a lot of backlash, so I would probably consider that a little bit more now. Like maybe a couple of years ago, if you'd asked this question, I'd have gone, yeah, that would have been sick. Whereas now, I think I'd be a little bit more considered and be like, how to your point, how do you combat the backlash? But then
that's what I mean is
you've got to ride the wave. Like look at when I first came here, I got a lot more backlash than I do now, and I guess it's just because I rode the wave. Like I guess you just got to do that.
That's what I mean. It would have to be different because, like you said, if you just did the same shows and stuff like that, people would be annoyed. So you'd have to find the balance of doing things similar to what he did to build the brand, but obviously taking it in a new, different direction as well. Which, like, I've seen this happen before with different media brands, and it's kind of what frustrates me a little bit about how much there's people that are the face of a media brand in this sport, you know? Like for example, Weege with Racer X, like he is the face of Racer X in a way. And I've seen people come in and try to take it over and immediately those brands fail. And it's like, that's not what the goal should be for a media company. The goal should be sustained quality beyond generations of journalists or media people that come through your doors, you know?
Well, yeah, going back, I think that was a bit of a problem with MX Vice. I think that it became too attached to my face, and I think that's where the problem started to appear. But no, you're right. Well, look at WTF1.
Yep.
I actually when I left MX Vice, I remember I suggested like I think you should just change everything. Seeing as I'm leaving, I said shut down the website and become the first YouTube social media platform that isn't linked to a website, and just build a different type of media where all news exclusively goes to social media and YouTube. And like, because I said I think it will go that way eventually, so be the first, and what a perfect time. But then maybe I don't think that would have worked in Europe. I think that would work more in America than MXGP, but I don't know.
But I also think that the unfortunate part with the American side is it might not work either, because you have too many advertising entities in this company that just don't even understand that. Like it's literally like if my logo is not on a website, I'm not using my advertising dollars effectively. It's like that's not how it works in 2025. But okay.
Yeah, but I think that's where I don't know. It's just an education, isn't it? Like I don't know. Like it is dumb. Like when you look at what some of these F1 media do, they do. I mean, and obviously they're working with partners who have a lot of budget. But then equally, I think, well, you know, like Kawasaki and Yamaha, and they have a lot of marketing budget as well. But you see them do like videos, like challenges, and like a Ferrari team sponsor. And also, once again, we're back into a media discussion, which everyone hates. But here we are.
How did we get here?
Like for a Ferrari sponsor will sponsor a video on a media platform where like the media plays a game with Charles Leclerc, and that's it. That's their marketing. Like I think we can get to that point. Like I have got an idea. If I have the support from the people around me to execute it, I have an idea for the off season that would be a modern twist on an interview and a podcast that Moto's never had. And in my head, that would be there's so many ways to play with the marketing of it that it would be great for a brand. So if I can get to the point where I can confidently action it, I'd be very curious to see what the reception would be. And yeah, obviously I'll do it with Chase, and I've got plans with my other friend, number 84, to meet him somewhere in the world, because at some point he may or may not allegedly have something quite interesting to potentially talk about.
Lovely. May or may not have some interesting stuff. Okay. Is that our show? Hour 20?
Yeah, I guess so. We got a lot of questions still, but how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I don't know. Can we please get Adam on more podcasts? Maybe the odd one about American Moto. Look at Adam. It's all coming up Adam in 2025. Did you hear on the Blair Mathis show
2 weeks ago that someone brought up when are we going to have the LVK Blair Mathis crossover?
Yeah, we should do that. I listened to that. I think we should do that, but I don't know how it would work. Because would you just have 4 people talking, or would you do like? I think the best way to do a crossover is we just do like. Well, I guess it wouldn't work with you and Steve.
You take Steve one week and I take DV, and then
yeah, I was going to say, but I guess you would have to. You'd still need to host, and so would Steve. So I guess the best way to do it is me and DB switch, because then it's like when a TV show. But then maybe that's boring because everyone's heard me talk to Steve. I mean, you and DB would be a different dynamic. Maybe. But me and Steve doing a podcast is, I mean, that's happened before. And I think if all 4 of us were on it at the same time, it would just be too chaotic. The best way I was thinking of doing it was if you somehow did like, it was a team thing. So who's better? And then you had a 5th party who's like doing quiz. And it's like, that would be fun. That would be funny. And that would be good.
I think
there's so many fucking ideas. Once again, there's so many fucking ideas to do, and we're just not doing them.
About media, Lewis.
Yeah, but isn't that a great idea? But it's just we don't have enough people and resources in this industry to make it happen. Because who's going to be the 5th person? Would we all be in the same place? Probably not. But then how would that work with like buzzers and stuff? Yeah. You know what? It's the end of the podcast. Let's put this to Steve. Because this shouldn't be that hard to figure out. And we can just get... would Weege 5th man it? I can't think of anyone else.
He's like the host, you mean? Maybe.
Yeah, who else would host it? You need someone who's got nothing on their plate. Completely... Like me. Someone who's just a complete bum.
Cade?
No. That's not the vibe we're going for. Might as well go and get a...
When he's done with Canada?
He wouldn't do it. Yeah, I think it would have to be Weege. I think Weege is too busy. I think that would be hard. I mean, JT's always up for a podcast. Because also the problem is the 5th person would have to come up with all the questions. So then you're actually asking them to do quite a lot of work for no reason.
JT likes to do a lot of work for no reason, so maybe he would do it.
But like that would be quite like, because you do a history round, which obviously they would smoke us at. But then you do an MXGP round, so we would smoke them. Do a current round, that would, and then you have a winner overall. Like you could do a common knowledge, like that would be. I want to do this. It'd be fun.
Okay, for everyone that made it to the end of this podcast, here's the last thing I'm going to throw at Lewis. How close does DeWolf get to Langenfelder by the end?
It all depends on what happens in Sweden. If DeWolf loses any points in Sweden, then it's over because we're just doing a yo-yo thing like we did from Finland to Lockett. If DeWolf even closes in by 5 points in Sweden, then he will inevitably close in Arnhem, and we're on.
All right.
But if he loses in Sweden, we're just kind of yo-yoing back and forth. So it's all on Sweden.
All right, it's all on Sweden. All eyes on Sweden. All right, that's going to be our show, the Leatt LVK More Than Moto podcast. Another long one, but I think people have been enjoying it. I feel like I've seen a lot of the feedback be very positive when we just go off the cuff like that.
I'm getting a lot of negative feedback about the timer, so I don't know what we do about that.
Yeah, I think we just cut it. I think we take our topics and we discuss them until we're done talking about them at this point.
Okay. Yeah, because there have been a few lately that we've gone on too long. So I think, the time is gone.
All right. Good to know. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Have fun in Ironman this coming weekend. And we'll be back on the other side of that with a Pulp MX show. No LVK show next week, likely, but we'll have to see if we get there when it's time. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.